You know the rule. The bride wears white. No one else wears white. If a guest wears white, it is a deliberate insult. You probably think this is an ancient tradition, a custom stretching back to antiquity, rooted in religious symbolism and the concept of purity. But it isn't. For most of human history, a white wedding dress would have been considered absurd. The accepted story is that white has always symbolized virginity and innocence. But the historical record shows something entirely different. Before the mid-19th century, brides simply wore the best dress they already owned. In Scandinavia, brides often wore black. In Asia, red was the color of celebration. If you were wealthy enough to have a dress made specifically for your wedding, you chose a color that wouldn't show dirt because you intended to wear it again. White was not a symbol of purity. It was a symbol of extreme, untouchable wealth. In an era before dry cleaning, wearing a white dress meant you were rich. The shift happened on February the 10th, 1840. Queen Victoria married Prince Albert. As a reigning monarch, she was expected to wear heavy brocade, velvet, and a crown of state. Instead, Victoria chose a white satin gown, but she didn't choose white for purity. She chose it to highlight the lace. The English lace industry in Spitalfields and Honiton was collapsing, devastated by the Industrial Revolution and machine-made textiles. Victoria used her wedding as a massive marketing campaign to save the industry. She wore white so the intricate, handmade Honiton lace would be visible to the press. She even ordered the pattern. The Illustrated London News covered the wedding in extraordinary detail. Engravings of Victoria's white gown circulated across Europe and America. Middle-class women, eager to signal their own rising status, began copying the Queen. Within a decade, in 1849, Godey's Ladies' Book, the most influential women's magazine in America, published an article that literally rewrote history. It declared, "Custom has decided from the earliest ages that white is the most fitting hue. It is an emblem of the purity and innocence of girlhood." Read that again. From the earliest ages. The magazine took a 9-year-old trend based on lace economics and rebranded it as an ancient moral imperative. It was a complete fabrication, but it worked. Because once a myth is printed as fact in the most widely read publication in a country, it stops being a myth. It becomes received wisdom. It becomes tradition. The final lock-in came with photography. As portrait photography became affordable in the 1860 and 1870, wedding photographs became permanent records, and in those photographs, the bride was always in white. The image became the tradition. The tradition became the rule. The rule became invisible, so embedded in culture that no one thought to ask why. And that fabrication is what you are paying for today. The global bridal wear market is a $60 billion industry, built almost entirely on the chassis of Victoria's 1840 dress. The myth of ancient purity was so successfully installed by 19th-century magazines that it overwrote actual cultural traditions worldwide. Today, Brides from Tokyo to Buenos Aires wear white, participating in a codified imitation of a British monarch's attempt to save a local textile industry. The origin: a royal trade decision, February 1840. The mechanism: a magazine rewrote history in 1849, and photography made it permanent. The behavior still alive today: $60 billion spent annually on a color chosen to showcase Honiton lace. The past isn't dead, it's just hiding in your habits.